Alright, what's happening everybody? I thought I'd do another polishing video. I get a lot of questions about it. There's a lot of different ways you can accomplish a mirror shine on your finish, provided you have done the prep work. So on this guy here, we did 5 coats of clear. I sanded it, wet sanded it with a wet or dry 1000 quickly. I didn't sand it all the way down to get all the little sparklies out of it. There really wasn't that many, but there were still some. When I sprayed it with 2 more coats, I then started with 1000. Sometimes, you know, if you put it on a little on the heavy side, you might want to start with 800. It came out really nice and smooth and flat. So I started with 1000. Next I did a 1500 wet or dry. And then on the top of this guitar, I did a 2000 and then I polished. And I showed you guys on a previous video how you can get this mirror shine just by polishing by hand. It's a lot of work. It's hard on your fingers. It's hard on your joints. On this one, I'm going to show you guys how you can do it without a big giant polishing wheel that you'll see some of the luthiers using. You can totally do this at home with a drill and like a 4 or 6 inch polishing wheel. This is synthetic. It's not even real wool, but I use this once in a while. Especially on the sides of the guitar, because it's a lot of work. But with this, you go around it real quick. And I'm going to do the back of the guitar, and I'll show you guys exactly how quick and how easy it is, and I'll show you the results that you're going to get. This is the front of it. It's just been polished. It has not been waxed or glossed or glazed. There's no turtle wax on this. I'm going to do exactly the same thing on the back and make it look just like this. Just so you guys can see how quick and how easy you can get that mirror finish that you're looking for. So here's the back. You can see it's all dull and scratchy, and that's because I used the 1500 wet or dry. Let me tilt you down, and we're just gonna sail right through this. I've got some 2000 wet or dry. You can go up to 3000 if you want. For this job, totally not necessary. I'll start with a small piece. I got my little spongy here. And I know this is like a massive waste of sandpaper, but I'm only going to use 1/3 of the paper, and this is how I hold it. I'm like pushing down on the center while pulling up on the sides, and that keeps it nice and tight across there. And that's because I don't want any wrinkles in there, because the wrinkles will skip across your finish. On this, you can see, make sure we get them. You can see my sand marks on this. Let's see if we can get, yeah, okay. So you see like the little swirlies on there. That's because I always sand in circles, and I can always see them. Usually by the time I get to 2000 grit, I won't be able to see them. I might still see them a little bit, a little tiny bit, but that's not going to matter at all. So let's just get it done. I'm going to do the whole back of this guitar, then I'm going to polish it, and you guys are going to see the results and how long it actually takes to get a beautiful mirror finish on the guitar. So I do apologize. I had the flu. Man, did I have the flu. I already had this flu. I had it like 4 months ago. I freaking got it again. And I just suffered with it. But I mean, I didn't even work on this. Like I thought, if I'm calling out of work, I'm gonna work on the guitar. But I didn't do that, man. I just stayed in bed for like 3 days. Hardly ate anything. Was miserable. But I thought about it. I thought about sanding this bad boy out, but you know, letting it sit longer and longer certainly doesn't hurt anything. Especially after you sand it one time and you break that gloss, you're allowing it to breathe. It'll cure faster for you if you do that. Now, normally, I'll change the water after I do the front, and then I'll change the water after I do the back. But it was such minor light sanding that the water still looks really clean. But you know, if you're going to do this yourself at home, change the water often. It's going to get like a little bit cloudy from the material. You can see it. See all that white on there? That white is lacquer. So I'm sanding away some lacquer, very, very little with this, with, you know, 2000 grit, very, very little. I'm going more by feel than by looks. Can't really tell how it looks when it's all wet and you got all the junk all over it from the wet sanding. So I'm going by how it glides across the surface. If I'm getting any resistance on it, then it means I haven't sanded away the 1500 grit scratches yet. On the horn, do not over sand the horn. You'll sand right through it. You got to be careful. This all feels really good. I'm very consistent. Feels a little bit rough over here. Not anymore. You'll feel them when you hit them. You hit little tiny rough spots. And I don't mean rough like my fingers would not have been able to feel that. I can only feel it when I'm wet sanding. I just feel a little bit more drag on the sandpaper in some spots than in other spots. Real small circles here. Trying not to sand the edge of the guitar. I'm just sanding the flat part of the body. Do this little section up here. Gonna wipe it off and we're gonna be done. I'll show it to you when I dry it off, so you can see how much of the 1500 scratches are gone and what's left that I will get out with the polishing compound. Again, so right here, there's such a small amount of flat right here that if I try to sand it, I'm going to sand over this edge and over this edge, and I'll wind up cutting through. I seriously doubt I would cut through it with 2000 grit paper, but I try to stay in the middle of that flat field right there and hardly go over the edge at all. On the front, we have the binding, so I want to show the back so you guys can see this round over edge and how I deal with that. Okay, that should be it for the flat part of it. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the paper and I'm just going to very quickly, very lightly, just break the gloss on this round over here. If there's any imperfections in it, In the gloss, I will feel it with my finger. This has not been touched. This edge has not been touched with any paper at all yet. This is the first time that the sandpaper has touched the round over on the edge of this guitar. Remember, I have not done the sides. When I do the sides, I'll do this, the flat part of the side, and then I'll come back around and do this edge one more time. I also won't do a whole lot of polishing on this edge. Just very quickly, very lightly, just run it over just to smooth out any of these 2000 grit scratches that I'm putting in it right now. It feels really good. I don't feel any imperfections in it. And the way I'm doing this is I kind of do it in like thirds, where I do like the top third, the middle third, and the bottom third. So the bottom third, the middle third, the top third. So just a little bit of an angle here, and then a little bit of an angle here, and then that middle third is where I try to get the whole round over, and then the top third and the bottom third is just kind of blending it. It really is super, super easy. It's not, there's no magic. There's no mystery. It's about taking your time and getting those clear coats right. And remember, you can sand as many times as you want between coats, as long as you're not sanding all of it away. Now I'm going to use paper towels to sop up the water. Clean paper towels to just sop up the water, so it's not so soaking wet. This is going to scratch it up. This is probably coarser than the 2000 grit. Probably about the same, actually. I know it's coarser than a 3000. Okay, now I've got most of the water off of there. I'm going to go to my microfiber. And good, there are definitely some 2000 grit scratches in here. Okay. Pretty nice. This is what I'm going to use. This is the swirl remover. So the finer the grit of your polish, the more liquidy it's going to be. If it's real thick and gooey, it's going to be a little more coarse. And you don't need a whole big ton of it on here. That's probably plenty. And I'm going to take my damp paper towel. I'm just going to lightly spread it around. I want it to be even more than anything. The water will also help. You know, the little bit of moisture that's in here will help to lubricate it. Okay, that's pretty even. Now on this guy here, I'm not going to run this at full speed. No way. I have this tightened up so that it slips. So it spins, but it can also slip. And that's going to be important, because if it starts to get draggy on here, it means I'm heating it up too much. It's starting to drag the finish, and this will start to slip instead of continue to cut. I don't want to cut. So we're going to run it about, like, that's way too slow. So we're going to go, I'd say maybe about 1/3 And you know, it depends on whether you're on one or two, because one is going to be slow, two is going to be faster. But this is the kind of thing you got to kind of get a feel for. But you do not need to be pumping on this. Like that's just going to burn through your finish. You don't need that. I'm going to go quickly around here. I'm not going to stay in any one place for too long. And I want to keep this thing moving, moving, moving. And I don't want to run down over the edge, down over the edge. I want to stay on the top and let the wheel just float off the edge of it. I saw some scratches in here. That looks like I could have used a little bit more of the 2000 sanding, but I mean it wasn't that much, and I think this took them out. But I can always go back and hit another spot if I need to. I don't think I'm going to need to, but let's get it finished so you guys can see. And see it's slow. It's running. I'm running it really slow because I don't want to create heat. I don't want to build up any friction, and I don't want to dig into my finish. I'm not pressing down on it. I have less than the weight of the drill. I'm holding the weight of the drill, and this has about as much pressure as if you were brushing your teeth. That's how, if you're like just scrubbing the teeth out of your head, that's probably too much. But if you just normally brush your teeth, that's about how much pressure I have on this wheel where it's contacting the clear coat. Less than the weight of the drill. I'm overlapping my own work. Around the edge, you gotta be careful because it's gonna wanna like dig in over here. So just remember, light. If anything, I'm coming up and off the finish when I come to the edge. Don't let your medium dry out. Whatever it is you're using, don't let it dry out. It's okay to add a little bit of water to it for lubrication. If it's drying out, wipe it off with some something damp, and then reapply. Don't let it dry out on your disc either, because it will dry this out. When I start using this, I'm going to let it completely dry out when I put it away, and then I'm just going to run a blade on it when I start using it again. And it gets all dusty and powdery, and it's it's messy, but it comes up nice and clean. Don't be afraid to go different directions with it. I've done this plenty of times in the past. I don't think I'm going to have to change direction on it because I'm not putting any marks in it, but it's okay to change direction on this. In fact, if you're not practiced at it, then changing direction will actually help. Remember, this is like super thin over here, so you want to get that done without concentrating on that one area for too long. I got it spinning a little faster, but I'm also have it a lot lighter on there. So very, very light touch on the back of it, especially on an area that's real thin over here or real thin over here. You may hear me speed it up, but as I speed up, I'm taking some of the weight off, so it's hardly even touching over there. Now that's probably really good. I see a little bit of cloudy spots in here. I want to keep polishing until I don't see any of that cloudy. So I could flip the guitar around this way. And that will change the direction that I'm doing the polish. I could add more polish if I want to, but because it's still got some cloudy spots on there, that means it still has some of the Maguires on there. So a little bit faster, but also a little bit lighter. I'm keeping this flat on the guitar. I'm not going to dig in with the edge of it. I'm just going to use the flat part of it. That's what I'm talking about. If you start, if it grabs, it's going to want to ride down in there. So, be ready to let go of that trigger. And also, be careful about this. Like, it wouldn't kill me to put a rag under where the drill is and work that way. Just in case I bump down on the guitar. I don't want to put any marks in it. It doesn't feel warm to me, to my hand at all, but I know it's warmer than it was, which means it's softer than it was. So, find a way to protect the guitar, whether it's a piece of paper or some paper towels or just something to protect it. So this is always going to be cloudy around here because I'm pushing the Maguires towards that edge and then I'm going really, really light. So it kind of builds up wherever you're not polishing as thoroughly as you are in other places. So I tend to go around these last and then I come back and I blend it. There's still a little bit of cloudy spots in here. Nothing major. Nothing major at all. Most of this is going to wipe out when I wipe it off. I'm pretty sure that's going to be done. I can still see a little bit of cloudy in there. you'll see that in front of the wheel. You're pushing the material up in front of the wheel. So if the wheel's here and it's turning that way, you're pushing the material out from underneath the wheel. So maybe I used a little too much on there, but it's better to have too much on there than not enough. So let me get my clean microfiber and wipe this off. Okay, I got a little bit of cloudy in here, nothing major, and a little bit of cloudy in here. You know, that's right on the hip there, or on the waist, I mean, so that's me staying away from it. So I want to try to get some of the excess off of here. Just take a blade. Okay. Let me wipe that junk off of there. Now my disc is pretty dry right now, so I'm gonna go really light. I got a little bit of cloudy spots in here and a little bit of cloudy right there, so really light. A little bit more of a higher speed, but lighter pressure. Remember, it's dry, but it's going to want to heat it up, so keep moving. I think that's going to be beautiful. Let's check it out. Wow. It's nice. It's really nice. Now, before I roll this over and lay it on its back, I don't want the back of it to get scratched up. I think I got real crappy lighting going on here. You see how crisp the reflection is? That means the finish is nice and flat on there. This looks really good. However, before I flip it over to do any other work on it, I want to protect this. So that means I want to get a coat of wax on it. And that's easy. That takes like 10 seconds. Show you how I do that. That's what I use. You could use the little applicator or just something clean. Not a whole lot. Yeah, it looks like on the camera, it looks like more than it really is. Well, it looks like more than it looks to my eye. And of course, you know, we're going to have to go back in and clean all that out. That's the no fun part of the, you know, guitar building. A lot of cleaning. Now I feel it's getting a little bit draggy on here, the wax is. That means the wax is starting to dry out, starting to harden up. I can add a little bit of moisture to it, but I don't think I need to. Now, the trick is to wait. I'm not gonna wait long. Just gonna let it haze. It'll turn into a haze. Oh, these paper towels. I'm gonna use my clean microfiber. And don't mix wax on your microfiber with Meguiar's on your microfiber. So have one for wax and one for whatever your polishing compound that you're going to use. So this one I used to wipe off this. So we're not going to use this for the wax. We're going to use a clean one that's dry and has nothing on it. And it's dry enough. When I wipe it off, yeah, it comes off like almost like dust. Oh my goodness, this looks so good. Wow, this really looks good. And the wax is also cleaning any residue of the Meguiar's. And wow, does it look amazing. Jeez. Oh, I hope it comes up on the camera. This really looks phenomenal. Is there any way I can get good lighting for you guys to see? Maybe if I did that, maybe. That's a little better. Let's do the read test. Get something that has writing on it. We'll try that. And then we will see. Maybe if I move it. That's pretty freaking good. So when I'm looking at the reflection in it, if I can read the reflection, which I can't even see the reflection because where my light is. Okay. Oh my God, yeah. I can even read wow. Oh my goodness, I could even read like the super fine print on it. Okay, it's just something I just like to, make sure that I'm seeing what I'm seeing, not what I want to be seeing. That's an easy thing to do, believe me. But yeah, super glossy mirror finish. Now I haven't waxed the front yet because I'm probably going to run it over again with this just because it was laying on its face. I don't even know if it needs it. Look at that. Jeez, look at that. Oh my God. Okay, that's just sexy. Yeah, look at my mess. There's the proof. So, I mean, that's, you can really save your fingers a lot of ache with one of these, but, I recommend you practice on something. If you're doing this project, right, there's nothing wrong with you getting a piece of wood, right? And everything that you do to this, you do to that piece of wood. If you spray this 5 times, then spray that piece of wood 5 times. If you wet sand this once, wet sand that once. It really solves a lot of problems, because you'll catch things that you'll be like, oh, I don't really like those 2 colors together, or wow, this clear coat is not going on as flat as I want because it was too cool outside. So I'm going to do a wet sand before I put another coat, and then wet sand that scrap piece of wood first. And you go, I'm going to start with 400 grit because I don't feel like being here all day. And then if you cut through it, you're like, okay, I'm not going to start with that. You didn't ruin anything. You ruined your little, a part of your little sample. You start with a sample this big, and then by the time you're done, this much of it is still perfect. You know, that's how much of it you saved this project from something being wrong with it. Because now, you know, you've already tried it on something else. There's nothing wrong with doing that. It can save you a lot of aggravation. All I gotta do now, I gotta do the sides. You can see how dull they are from the 1500. I gotta do the neck, the headstock. I have to polish this fretboard up, but it's only sanded to, I think, 1000, because I want that to be super crystal clear. Which, you know, it's pretty clear right now. I just want it to be like super crystal clear. So it's highly visible. I thought about going with like black on top of the orange because it's going to have black hardware. I thought about making the lettering black, but I have some black lettering, and I put them on a piece of the binding because it was the same color, and it didn't stand out to me. And then I thought, well, with stainless steel frets and then black letters, I thought it would look too isolated over there by itself. So I went with the you know, the chrome look to go with the frets. And the frets, wow, these frets feel phenomenal. Okay, so that's how easy it is, and that's how long it takes. It really didn't take long at all. This whole polishing process will take me another hour, and I'll be done, because I haven't done the 2000 sanding yet. So in another hour, this will all be polished. It'll have 1 coat of wax on it. Then I'll polish up the fretboard, and then I'm going to put it down and let it sit for 2 days before I even touch it. And then I'll start getting my dirty, greasy fingerprints all over it while I put all the hardware and, you know, put it all, you know, make it ready to play. So I'll show it to you guys when it's all done. It's really looking badass right now. Look at that. Fuck. That is just sexy. Let me make it all sexy so that I'm not going to want to give it back. That's all I got for this one, man. I hope you got something out of it. Peace.